Welcome to the Lafaya podcast, the podcast for people who refuse to fold in the face of adversity. Whether you're navigating personal challenges or professional obstacles, this show is a reminder that you have the power to play to win. Hey everybody, welcome to the Lafaya podcast. I am super excited for my guest today, Rebecca Olson. She is a power player. She is out there teaching moms how to do it and do it right. Work it with our kids and our careers, and do it to, optimize our abilities to do that. So without further ado, I'm going to have her go ahead and introduce herself. How are you doing today, Rebecca?
Oh my gosh, Lafaya, thank you for having me on this podcast. So excited to chat with you today. Yes, my name is Rebecca Olson. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. I got two kiddos. I have an 8-year-old boy and an almost 11-year-old girl that feels like she's more like 16 these days. She is going through all the crazy changes at the moment. And I am a executive coach for working moms. So I help working moms that really want to stay focused on their career, that have big ambitious goals and don't want to lose them, now that they're a mom. There's so much tension between those two worlds, and I want to make sure every woman feels empowered to stay focused on whatever goals and goals that they have, while also feeling like a really present and, great mom, the mom that they want to be.
Man, that is fantastic, because we all need that out there, right, ladies? We need that.
Everyone needs it. There's no question about it. I know I want to get into this real fast, but I just like to say, like, one of the things that really strikes me, I've been reading a lot of research about this, is just how the cards are just not in our favor for women and for moms in particular, right? Like, we could go into the motherhood penalty and all those things, but if you really look at the statistics, we lose women in their careers at the time of motherhood. And most of the time it's because, and research will show this, it's not because they actually want to step back in their career. It's because they don't feel like they have a choice. It's because the systems are against us, right? And so I feel so empowered by my vision of helping women not feel like they have to choose. Like, go after the things that you want to go after and be the mom that you want to be. You could have both. It's so important to me.
Oh, guys, see why I invited her? My kind of girl.
Yeah, totally.
Because we know my life is insane. If you have read the book Poker, a Woman's Game, I outline how insane my life is and how I'm still going to move forward and be successful in my career and live my dreams to be a great poker player. So I tell people all the time, I am not a professional poker player, okay? I am a therapist who plays professional level poker and competes well. Thank you very much. And and it just requires a lot of different things that you have to put in place to do that. But okay, I absolutely love what I've been seeing, that you do. Can you tell our audience a little bit about your podcast and some of the recent episodes, because I've very much enjoyed some of those areas that you've been addressing. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So my podcast is Ambitious and Balanced Working Moms. And so it is all about, like, the tips and strategies to make both work simultaneously. I like to say that, for us as moms, now that we're moms, the goals actually become twofold. Like, before we have kids, there's just this kind of goal to, like, move your career forward and move your way up and do well in your job. I mean, most of our life is surrounded by work at that point. And then we have kids, and then all of a sudden it's like, hold on, I can't give everything to work. I have this tiny human that I love to pieces. What do I do? And now both become really important to us. And so the goals become twofold. And that means that if one is failing, then they're both failing, right? They both have to be successful in order for us to feel like we're, like, killing it in our life, And so I talk a lot about that on the podcast, a lot about just the practical strategies to handle priorities, overwhelm, feelings of stress, time management, emotional management. How do you handle the crucial moments in our everyday life that either kind of have us sticking to our boundaries and our values and our goals, or kind of drains our energy and has us kind of coming into our home life at the end of the workday just feeling like we've got nothing left, we're just giving our kids the leftover. So just even in the last couple of episodes, there was one that was, I think it came out a couple weeks ago. It was all about overwhelm and addressing overwhelm. That was such an important podcast episode, because overwhelm is such a common experience for us as working moms, right?
Yes.
It is that equation of too many tasks, right? Our to-do list is too long, too high of expectations, not enough time to get it done. And when those three things combine, we have overwhelm. And I don't know a working mom that doesn't experience that on a regular basis, but it also it drains us. It has us kind of not being able to live in that strategic zone in our brain. We don't make the best decisions in that place of overwhelm. We don't enjoy life. I can't even tell you how many women come to me and just say like, I've got such a great life when I step back and think about it, but I'm not enjoying it in any way. I'm not happy. I'm not living life the way I want to. Like how can I be happy in this like amazing life that I have, you know? So we got to get out of those cycles of overwhelm and learn how to take control over how we're feeling and be really intentional with having a joy-filled life.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Now, speaking of, right, addressing those moments of overwhelm, and I tend to refer to, because, you guys know I love to compare, like, kind of poker concepts to real life, because they do meet together very well,
yeah.
right? Especially when
Yeah,
it comes to the mental game of life. Okay.
of
But
course.
as far as addressing those overwhelm moments, in which I refer to as like those tilt moments. And
Mm.
by tilt in poker means, you're doomed to lose all of your chips because you have lost your mind, right? And
Uh,
I have an acronym for tilt. I refer to as temporary interruption and logical thinking. So during those moments, what's your top advice on
yeah.
how to get through that moment without losing your chips or your whoo?
Yeah. I love that you have a name for this in poker. I didn't know that at all because I'm not a big poker player, to be honest. But I call this the crucial moment. It's like the moment where you're either going to decide to uphold to your values, your goals, the person that you want to be. You're going to be proactive in the way that you're handling the moment, or you're not. You're gonna compromise on your boundaries. You're gonna lose you are going to react in a way that you don't feel very proud of, and you're going to fall into bad habits, right? In
Yes,
essentially. And so I call it the crucial moment. And we have these all day long where we have to make the decision to either like intentionally stay aligned or go back into overwhelm, reactive mode, stress mode, compromising boundaries, whatever it is. So I call it the crucial moment, but I think we're talking about the same thing. And I
yes,
have a really I have a process that I walk my clients through, because this moment is everything. It is where you either gonna be the person you want to be or not. And
yes,
so but understanding that the moment is actually an emotional moment, right? So
yes,
like let me give you an example of this. So if you had a really busy work day, just a bunch of meetings today, but you also needed to get a handful of things done, but because of the way things worked out, you just didn't get anything done today that you wanted to get done. It's time to go home. You got to go be with your family. Your kids are going to be hungry, all the things, right, that are going to happen. And so, if you're a parent, of course, and this moment comes along, it's like almost 5 o'clock, and you have to make a decision. Am I going to stay and like actually get some stuff done at work today because you didn't get anything done? Because you feel like you didn't get enough done and you feel guilty about that and you feel stressed about that? Or are you going to like actually shut down and go home and be with your family tonight or do whatever you're going to do? It's a crucial moment where you have to decide. As you're making that decision, all that's coming up is a huge wave of emotion, right? As you think about going home and not getting any of that work done today, you feel overwhelmed. You feel stressed. You feel anxious. You feel nervous about what other people are going to think. You feel inadequate because you didn't get enough done today, right? Or as you think about staying and not going home, you feel really guilty because you're not really showing up for your kids and you're thinking, oh my gosh, like what kind of a mom am I? Like, who am I? They're really important to me. All that's come up are these big, big emotions, right? So it's an emotion moment, which means the only way to get through this moment is to actually deal with the emotion, is to process the emotion, right? And so
yes,
I teach my clients a 6-step process that helps them handle the emotion of that moment in a really effective, intentional way, and then step into a much more intentional mindset where you're going to make a decision on what to do, right? There really isn't a right or wrong. You could stay and work if you want, or you can go home. We can make an argument for both. We just want to make sure that you love your reasons behind it. And you're not going to walk away from either decision feeling like you're a terrible person either way, right? And that you're not
yes.
good enough.
Now,
So the process, oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry, no. Okay, so I don't know if you were gonna hop
I'm going to
into it.
talk about the process. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the steps because I love steps.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love
Okay,
steps.
all right, let's get into it.
Yeah. So I call this the pivot protocol, and you can actually find it. You could find episodes if you look through my podcast, you'll and just search the episodes, you'll find things on this. So I call it the pivot protocol. I talk about it a lot because it's such a backbone of the work that I do. My ambitious and balanced group coaching program, which is just for working moms, it's all about work-life balance. We become masters of this protocol because we got to use it day in and day out. And it's meant to be fast, right? We feel our emotions really fast. We think it's going to take a long time to like get over a feeling. It really doesn't when we give it space. So the steps are that we have to stop and even recognize that we're having a moment, that we're feeling anxious, that we're feeling overwhelmed, that we're worried about what other people are thinking, that we are fearing failure, that we're feeling like not enough today, right? Whatever it is. So we have to stop and we have to kind of recognize and label what is going on in that emotion. Next, we actually have to normalize it. And this is one that a lot of women like to skip over because what we secretly think is like, "Ugh, why am I in this situation again today? Like, ugh, I'm never getting enough done today. I'm never doing enough. Like nothing is working." It's this judgmental tone that we have about ourselves and our feelings and our emotions and life as a busy working mom or as a busy human, whatever it is. And so we have to just normalize. It's like, well, of course I'm feeling this way right now. Work is important to
Yes,
me. My family's important to me. I'm feeling torn between them. Of course I'm feeling really anxious and guilty about that. That makes sense. It's one of
yes,
those crucial moments that I feel this way, right? So we stop, we notice and label, we normalize, so we kind of strip all the judgment away, and then we feel. This is really important, and we always like to skip this one over because this one really feels really, really terrible. But we actually have to give a moment to the feelings that we're having. We have to let the vibrational sensations of our body kind of settle down, right? Another way to think about that is it's like our body kind of goes into like a mini fight or flight in these moments. Like our whole emotional regulation is off, our nervous system is off. Most people can notice that their heart rate is racing, that their hands feel a little bit jiggly, that you feel a little anxiousness in your stomach, whatever those are all like an emotional body experience that you're having. You got to deal with that for a
yeah,
moment. Doesn't
yes.
take long, but you
Have to
got to give it a
address
little
it.
bit of space.
That's
And
right.
so that could look like anything from sitting and closing your eyes and breathing for 30 seconds to a minute, just literally imagining your heart rate calming back down. I just had a conversation with one of my clients in my group program yesterday, and we were talking. There's so many ways to do this, right? I'm like, we're gonna have to experiment with this. Like, there's no right or wrong way to how you calm down your body. We just got to figure it out. And she's like, I think I want to lay down on the floor because she's really into yoga. I think I need to lay down on the floor and I literally need to visualize my heart rate going down. I'm like, oh my gosh, I bet that's going to happen so fast for you if you're able to really do that. It's going to
Yes,
be it's going to be wild how you can very quickly get yourself out of that emotional state and then take some more intentional action. Maybe you need to
yes,
go for a walk. Maybe you need to just pivot in your chair and you need to like say a mantra. It
yes.
doesn't have to. I had a client once. Oh my gosh, I had a client once that she would because there's a lot of times you got to pivot in the middle of like a big meeting when there's a lot of people around. You don't always have the space to go take a walk, things like that. So she's like, "Oh my gosh, I would get so irritated at people in the meetings and I could feel my emotional regulation totally and I was going to explode on people." She would pull up a Microsoft Word document and nobody could see her, right? And so she would just type in like 100-point font like, "This is stupid. I don't want to be here. These people don't know what they're talking about." Like, and she would just like, you could just feel her whole tension as she would type this really hard. And then she just take a deep breath. She'd delete the she wouldn't save the document. She let it go. And it was so helpful for her to just be able to get it out of her body,
That's
get it out of her body.
awesome. Get it up and
I know.
out. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Do whatever you
So
need
I
to do. Yeah.
okay, so in your
Do
steps,
jumping jacks. That's another one. I have a client that likes to, she's got to like get that tension out. But all
yes.
of this is about get intentionally emotionally regulating you. We tend to just push
Yes.
these feelings down. As adults, we're taught to do that, right? We're taught to not feel these things. They don't feel very good. We push through them, we delay
Yes.
them, we stack our emotions on top of each other until we have explosive moments, right? And we don't want to do that. It doesn't feel good to any of us. So, this is actually about feeling that feeling. You can't move on until you do this. I promise you. Almost always
Okay.
when somebody says, okay, go
So
ahead.
quick question.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, as you know, I'm a steps girl. Okay.
Yep.
So in my
On
brain, I
step
have to
4,
like,
just
okay,
we
so we're
haven't
on
caught
step
up.
4, and that is that intentionally regulate. Is that step 4? Intentionally
Yeah.
regulate after
Yep,
you
or
feel
feel your
step
feelings.
3, feel your
Very
feelings.
simple.
Step 4, be intentional about your regulation efforts. And
Yes.
typically, from what I'm hearing from you, some physical means, and I say this all the time too, physical means is can be very effective. Like
Yes, very.
typing that out and doing those jumping jacks or push-ups or something, going for
Yeah.
a walk like you said. But okay, sorry.
Well,
I had to
this
had to
is why
check
people
in.
like to work out. This is why people say working out is like a reliever of tension and stress for them, because
Yes.
literally what they're doing is they're moving the vibrational sensations out of their body when they work out.
Yes. They're not
But you can't,
holding.
in the middle of a meeting or at 5 p.m. when you got to get home and make dinner, like you can't always just go work out, right? You can't.
Yes.
That's why we got to find faster resets. I also have another podcast episode that's called I think it's called 2 minute reset ideas.
Oh.
And you can find that. That's kind of an oldie but a goodie. But I give my clients lots of options. Like I literally build them a toolkit that's really tailored to them. What's going to work for you in these moments? Now that we're bought into the idea that we even got to regulate our emotion, now
Yes.
how do you do that, right? So we got to experiment a little with that.
Now
So once you,
talking about jumping in the car though, right? Those moments where you're in the car, you have this opportunity that maybe you don't take advantage of to get yourself regulated before you get
yeah,
home. What do you
yeah,
think about the idea of doing something like turning your music way up if you're that type of person and just singing, like scream singing,
yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Or
right?
scream yelling. Yelling
Okay.
into a pillow sometimes works for people. What we don't want to do is like a lot of times we think of this as being an ignoring kind of a it actually becomes an ignoring thing. So don't turn on music or a podcast or don't call your friend. Like we think that that's what's going to calm us down, but in reality we're actually kind of skirting the emotion in that, right? We actually have to
Hmm.
get the vibrations out in some way. So
Yes.
usually listening to a podcast or calling a friend, well, great, and I think you should do that. It's not actually an emotional regulation tool. It's kind of a ignoring tool, right? It's kind of a not ignoring, but like pushing through, not not really addressing,
Not quite addressing
skirting
that
around.
energy, not quite addressing clearing out
Oh,
that energy
right,
that you need to
right.
clear out, right? Oh, that's
Exactly.
awesome. Okay, step 5.
Okay, step 5. Now that you've cleared all the energy out and you're back to a much more neutral state, at least calmer. Here's another visual that I like to give my clients. If you have kids, you kind of, you know that kids go through when they tantrum, when they have big feelings, that it almost feels like this wave, right? It feels like I'll give the simplest example I like to give. If anybody has been around babies or toddlers, really, you give them the blue cup and they really want the red cup. It's like the most illogical thing ever. And they have a complete meltdown over it, right? They really wanted the red cup or whatever cup it was, right? And so all of a sudden, they bat the thing out of your hand, they throw themselves on the floor, they start screaming at you, and you're like, calm down. Here, have the other cup. Like, no problem. Like, this is not
Please.
important. But their emotions have taken soar, is just they're way up on this mountain of going up in their emotional scale. If you try to reason with them and offer the other cup or be like, kid, this is not that important, what are you doing, they dig in more. Right? They just are like, no, I'm gonna keep fighting for the thing that I need to fight for, right? You know what I mean? You're shaking your head. You're like, yes,
Yes, yes.
absolutely.
I need to get this energy out because that's what happened. They had negative energy
Yes.
insertion, and there's nothing. We have to let them go through their process of getting it
We
up and
got to
out.
let them go through their process. If you try to interrupt it, it makes it happen longer.
Yep.
They dig in their heels even more, right? We get more emotionally dysregulated through the process and so forth. And then there comes this time, though, in their emotion, in their height of emotion, where you can kind of tell they've turned a corner. Like
Yes.
maybe they're not done yelling yet, or they're not done, but it usually comes in like good deep breath or like a sigh or like a something that you just kind of go, all right, I think we're coming to the other side of this. We're going to move on in a moment. And I
Yes.
like to think about that like they've crested over the emotional hill and we're coming down the other side. And now they're able to breathe a little bit and you could tell their heart rate is coming down. Maybe they want to hug now. They want to be touched now or before maybe they didn't. Maybe they're able to take their other cup now, that sort of thing. For us as adults, and when you think about this process, we have to get the steps 1 to 4. We're kind of emotionally regulating. You got to get yourself to crest over your emotional hill. if
Yes.
you if you try to interrupt the emotional processing before that, it's going to make it happen longer. You're going to kind of skirt through that emotion. So it's going to linger with you. It's not actually going to go away. It's going to still be really hard for you to move on from the emotion. So we actually, just like toddlers, have to get ourselves to the point we can crest over that emotional hill. And when you've done that, when you've breathed long enough, when you've done your jumping jacks long enough, when you've screamed long enough, whatever it is, where you can literally just feel it like, oh, and you could feel your heart rate start to shift and your whole body start to shift. That's when
Yes.
you know it's time to move on to step 5.
Okay.
Step 5 is when you is when you move into something in like an intentional way of thinking. Now we can move into proactive thinking at this point. So if we go back to the example of it's like 5 o'clock and what do I do? Do I stay? Do I go? What do I do? Now it's like you can step back and go, okay, what's really important here? What is can any of these things really get done tomorrow? What would serve me the best? Is it been, have I done this several nights in a row and it really is time for me to prioritize my family? Right. This is a moment where you get to
Yes.
stop and reflect and think more proactively about the decision that is ahead of you and what you actually want to do in this moment, right? And how you want to
Yes.
respond proactively. I usually like to ask myself just a really good question. Just one. What's the most important thing here? That's for as an example of one. I usually try to help my clients come up with like their question that seems to be really helpful to them. But like what's the most important thing here is going to help you get into strategic thinking. It's going to, send you into your prefrontal cortex where you can actually start
Yes.
making decisions in a really proactive way based on goals, based on values, based on who you want to be, how you want to show up on all the things. And then really step 6 is just to execute on that. It's just like make an intentional step forward. Don't just scroll social media anymore or don't do, don't just
Yes.
delay, like move into action.
Oh my goodness. I absolutely love this.
Yeah. So important.
Oh
No,
my goodness.
this
I
is
could
this is hard. I mean, I'm saying it like obviously I teach this day in and day out. I help all my clients go through this process, really tailor and learn this process for themselves. But this stuff is hard to do.
yes, I am excited about what it seriously like the last piece of yours. I actually have a 4-step process that I use, and I'm talking about we're hitting it, no, I mean almost note by note. We're hitting points, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, yes, respond in alignment. Stop and take that moment to think about what your core goals are, what your real intentions are, and
Yeah.
respond in alignment with your truest intentions, because that's where we
Yes.
get lost. We get
Yes.
lost in all of these responsibilities, and we lose sight of what is most important to us. And I love your steps because that brings them back to
Yeah.
right back to their real selves, because
Their
that's
real
what
self.
really throws us off and
Yeah.
causes a lot of overwhelm, is being a person that is outside of who we truly mean to be. Then we're
Yep.
going to feel resentful, we're going to feel frustrated, we're going to feel like we're never getting anything right, and we're going to feel like we're not addressing the most important things in our lives. Oh my goodness,
Yep.
Rebecca.
Yep.
Okay. So, what I'd like to do right now is kind of have you do a quick recap. And if you could, I would absolutely love for you to do a quick recap of your steps so that people, if you have not been taking notes,
Take
okay,
the
you need to
notes.
take some notes because this stuff
Yeah.
is gold, okay?
Yep.
But if you could just go over your 6 steps quickly for me, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, you got it. So step 1 is to stop, notice what's going on. Step 2 is to label it, so you just have a sense of the actual emotion. Step 3 is to normalize it. Don't need to go into judgment about having this emotion, feeling whatever the situation is. It's totally okay. Step 4 is to actually feel the feelings, feel the emotion, let the emotional wave, ride the emotional wave, if you will. Step 5, once you have crested over that wave, is to start thinking intentionally. Ask yourself a good question to align, to your point, align to your values, your goals, who you want to be, all the things. And step 6 is to take a step, make an action.
Yes. Oh my goodness, guys. I am sorry. If you could not have been listening to this podcast if you do not feel like you gained some value from that. Okay. Talk about dealing with those tilt moments. Oh my goodness. Start following the steps and all of a sudden you'll find yourself in a better space. Oh my goodness. Okay,
Yes.
so Rebecca, now how do people find you? Because they need your if your class, they need your groups or they need your
Yeah.
podcast, they need
They need it all. I love it.
you.
Yeah, so I would definitely look up my podcast, Ambitious and Balanced Working Moms. You can find it wherever you listen to podcasts, obviously. I do my next cohort of my group is coming up, Ambitious and Balanced. It's literally like aligned with my podcast. All the things that I teach in my podcast, I basically created a group environment to walk people through that process. It is an intensive 3-month process where you will literally right size up your priorities. You will learn how to live priority first, to put yourself and your family first without losing your success and productivity at work. You're going to feel lighter. You're going to actually enjoy life. You're going to involve more rest, more fun. We're going to do it in 3 months. So it's like you're jumping right in. You're going to change all those behaviors. So that launches in the middle. The group launches in the middle of May, and I'm opening the doors in just a couple of weeks. So perfect timing. You can look into that group and sign up for the waitlist if the doors haven't opened by going to Rebecca Olson Coaching. No, I take that all back. I'm sorry. No, it is. I have 2 websites and sometimes I get them confused. It's RebeccaOlsonCoaching.com/ambitious and balanced. So that's that group. Hopefully we can link to it. And I also have, I mean, I just walked you through the pivot protocol, one of my favorite tools, but I have a second tool also pivotal in this group coaching program. It's just for your audience here. I'd love to give them the opportunity to download it. I call it the Daily Kickstart, the Working Moms Daily Kickstart. So this is all about how do those tilt moments, how do those like crucial moments, those pivot moments, how do you make them happen less so that you're not
Yes.
constantly having to get emotionally regulate yourself throughout the day. How
Yes.
do you do that? I have a process. My clients absolutely love this process. Once they really get into it, I hear nothing but like this one, it's like a lifelong process that they start to learn. It takes 10 minutes a day, less as you really get into the rhythm of it. And it sets your mindset up for the day so that those moments happen less. So you can think through your day in a way that's really strategic and say, when am I going to have those moments? And how do I position myself so they don't happen as much? So it's a 10-minute daily kickstart practice. So there will be a link to that as well. I
Yes.
believe the URL, if I'm thinking about it, is ambitiousandbalance.com/daily kickstart. But
Yeah, we'll
hopefully
have it in our
follow
show
the link
description
just
and
in case that was wrong.
yes, we'll have it in our comments and show notes. So
Yeah.
guys, don't worry about it. Oh my goodness, she's offering gifts. Do we not love her? Okay, Rebecca, thank you so much for joining the show today. This has
Absolutely.
been just an awesome experience talking with you or chatting with you. Guys, make sure you visit her website. Make sure you check out her groups because she is doing so much to help working moms. This is so awesome. Well, all right, guys, that's the end of our show. Have a good one. And remember, it's not about the hand you're dealt, it's about how you play it. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And if you're interested in learning more about playing the hand you're dealt in this mental game of life, you'll love my book, Poker, a Woman's Game. To download your free chapter today, click on the link in our show notes or visit LafayaWayPoker.com. See you soon.